For this example, we are going to find the intercepts and use them to graph the equation. The intercepts are where the graph crosses both the x and the y axis. So let's start by finding the x-intercepts. The x-intercepts occur when y is equal to 0. So what we would do is we would take and replace y with 0, and we would solve for x. The easiest way to solve for x is because x squared is negative, I would recommend moving this to the opposite side by adding it to make it positive. So we end up with x squared equals 9. And for this particular case, since we have a quadratic, it's telling us that we have two solutions, or it's going to cross in two places. So we have to find both the positive and negative root that allows us to, or find the positive and negatives that when I square them gives me 9. So the square root of 9 is both positive or negative 3. So our x-intercepts end up crossing at negative 3, 0 and positive 3, 0. We would do the same thing for y-intercepts. To find the y-intercepts, this is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So instead of replacing y with 0 like we did for the x-intercepts, we're going to replace x with 0. So we really have y equals negative 0 squared plus 9. So we end up with y equals 9. So our y-intercept is going to be 0, 9 because our x-coordinate that we plugged in was 0 and our output was 9. We will then use these points to graph our equation. So we would create our grid. And with this one, because of the fact that it is a quadratic, we will have a U-shaped graph. This is always our x-axis. This is our y-axis. So we would go to our points. On the x-axis, I would go to negative 3, 0 and positive 3, 0. On our y-axis, we would go up to 9. I'm going to count by 2s. So 9 would be halfway in between 8 and 10. And we would draw our graph to show that we have a quadratic that is opening downward.